Welcome back to Inuyasha Anime Review Part 5. Yes, I've changed location again, mainly because I had to move out here because we had a dinner, so yeah. And you probably notice is basically an echo in here whenever I speak this microphone. Reason, because I'm in a particular separate room in my house, basically referred to as the Florida room, because I'm in Florida, obviously. This episode I'm reviewing episodes 36 to 44. And 44 ends on a cliffhanger. Yeah, another one of those again. First up is simply put, like it's kind of the same thing that way it was last one, where 35 ended with basically a cliffhanger, which leads into episodes 36, 37, which are part 2 and part 3 of the story, the introduction to Koga, the head of the wolf demon tribe. Well, one of the tribes. I think he's described as the head of the South tribe, I think it is. Yeah. And his name is actually in the second title of the second appearance. Now, he simply fights Inuyasha briefly at the start of the episode, and he has to flee because he senses there's some danger. Oh yeah, and also it's revealed that he has shards in his legs and one in his arm. The one in his arm he actually got from a guy he killed off in the previous episode. Yep, and then they have to go looking for him because he's got shards. So he snatched up Kagome via a very specially laid trap, uses wolves to pin down Inuyasha while flying down a freaking cliffside. He runs up, takes Kagome, and of course distracts, Moroku and Songo basically distracted by something else. And then we get introduced to the kind of the monsters of this particular two-parter, this particular set of episodes, the Birds of Paradise, which look like overgrown harpies. Yes, the design of these creatures is very weird. I don't know if these are creatures from Japanese mythology because I've never actually read anything related to Japanese mythology. These creatures are sort of put basically kind of like blue people with a weird looking face on top of basically a giant head bird. And these creatures also have bird claws as for hands. These are very weird creatures. Oh yeah, and their leader basically has got two of these things on top of it. It's really huge. And the reason is for kidnapping Kagome was because she can take the jewels. And, well, he wanted her to find this particular jewel so they could take out the enemies to Birds of Paradise. Don't worry after this particular set of episodes. They're pretty much eliminated by the very next episode, which kind of leads into what happens in episode 38. Yeah, the end of this one. So, also, Koga proclaims openly his love for Kagome right in front of Inuyasha, which causes them to briefly fight, but they have to briefly team up in order to take down these Birds of Paradise. Also, lucky enough, Moroku uses the wind tunnel when they find him later on the very next episode to pretty much swallow him whole. Also, despite the fact Koge decided to kidnap Kagome, he treated her very nicely, never harmed her at all. Like, his men basically wanted to treat her as a snack. He was like, no, this woman's mine. Do not touch. And somehow Shippo decided to tag along. I'm kind of like, did the people who wrote this episode basically forget he was there? Yeah, but they can stay in the manga. Of course, I will talk about something else related that made a slight change in the manga because, well, they want to censor it. I'll get to that soon. It's related to a character that's introduced in episode 39. Yeah, in this particular set of episodes, we're introduced to about 4 new characters. Yeah, 4 new characters. One actually appears for about a couple episodes, and the other one appears also for a few episodes as well. Yeah. And, of course, allowing Shippo to get away. After they basically rescue Kagome from Koga, of course, Inuyasha basically wants to kill Koga for trying to kidnap Kagome. Tells him to sit. Yeah, first time in quite a while. I would say at this point in the series, this is the first time that she's told him to sit in a long time. So they get into a heated argument. Basically, it sets up the very next episode of the series, which is basically 2 hearts, 1 mind. Here's the thing. Despite the fact it's a standalone episode, it's basically the epilogue of the previous arc, of the previous episode. That's all this one is. And does it lead into the very next episode? It just happened to come next. Yep. Also, this is a little funny little thing of basically because Inuyasha and Kagome get the heat argument. It's like at the end of the previous episode, it's like, Shogo, Kaba Kelala. So, and of course, Inuyasha's like, what are you going to do? Koga says, no, I'm going home because you're a jerk. Yep. So she goes home, goes back, have a normal life, and apparently her friends tell her that the guy who had a crush on her is apparently getting a girl. Well, from Kagome's perspective, that's fine. She doesn't have a really big problem with that. She doesn't have a problem with the guy at all. She probably respects him, but she's not in love with him. She likes Inuyasha. Yeah, it's been hinted at this point that she has feelings for him. It's not revealed till later she really does have feelings for him. It's also kind of hinted at that Inuyasha is like vice versa as well. Yeah. So Inuyasha visits the modern era and runs into what runs into Kagome's little brother, which, well, he kind of looks up to him like a big brother because, well, he chases after his sister. He kind of suspects that Inuyasha is in love with his sister, and he has no problem with it at all. Yeah, no problem. And it's like, shh, don't tell your sister I was here. And of course, he goes back later, and of course, in her sleep, he of course sees her. Of course, this is also the first time he's ever been to her bedroom. Yes, not the first time he's been to her house. First time he's been inside of her bedroom. He says like, Kagome sends all over his room. Like, what room is this? Oh, this must be Kagome's room. And of course, it really is Kagome's room. The viewers have known it since basically the pilot episode. Yep, and then of course the second time, apparently she can say sit while she's asleep, which I thought was so funny. And apparently he took her alarm clock by mistake and took it to the past. Like, does he know what this thing is? I mean, this is modern day technology in an alarm clock. I mean, will anybody from the Warring States era actually know what an alarm clock is? Or at least, it's so bizarre, to say the least. Yeah. And, like, as soon as pretty much, like he can apologize for that. Of course, well, instead of explaining to everybody else, he does regret what he did, what he said during the previous episode. And they make up and simply put, yeah, everything's fine. Moving on. Yeah, next is basically a start of a long story arc. Starting from episode 39. Wraps up with episode, I think it's, let's see. Yeah, it starts from 39. Yeah, it starts from 38, 30, yeah, 39, and it continues all the way up until, like the episode which I left off with. Yeah, this is kind of the Kagura arc in a way. Yep, this is episode 39. It's introduced to Kagura. Her listener gets introduced like two episodes after this. First episode is a two-parter where basically Koga's comrades basically are drawn to what apparently looks like a castle that contains shards of Shukan Jewel. It's one in the Raku's many castles. And the Inuyasha gang is here because they investigate while they try to take on the Raku's castles. And they come across all these dead bodies, and Koga, who comes there with a Shokan Jewel, turns out it's actually poisoned, to give it to him by one of his men who actually supposedly survived it, he actually died. And he actually, now Kagura is the one who killed all the men. And throughout most of this episode, the following one, Koga and Inuyasha basically are fighting each other. And he stains wounds, and he pretty much maintains them for quite some time. Yes. And, of course, it takes a couple times. Of course, when he does fake Kagura later, after using a Naraku puppet to basically distract Shogo and Moroku. And he takes on Kagura. First time Windscar fails. Second time actually, works. And it ends up pretty much, thanks to Kagome purifying the air, he's able to basically almost blow away almost all of her clothing. I should point out that in the manga, you actually get a chance to see her topless. Yes, and typical for the anime to do, we have to slightly censor it by having where some of the cloth actually covers up her breast. And then we see her back, you can see, her chest is fully exposed. My only guess is that this is probably either Viz Media, who probably, I don't think it was Viz Media who did this. No, this may have been the studio who did this because, well, the thing is, the writer of this particular manga, who wrote the manga for Inuyasha, is notorious basically for having lots of female nudity basically in her mangas. Like, I've only seen about 3 of them I've read, basically Rama Half, Mermaid Saga, and this series, basically, where several of the female characters actually seem completely naked. And you actually see, like, almost full blown nudity. Why in the world she does this is, as far as I can tell, never been explained. I don't know if this happened with their first series she did, because I haven't read it yet. But I know it happened with Rama Half, it happened with the Mermaid Saga, and happened with this series. Yep. And of course she flies off on her giant feather, which she happened to have. Yep. And of course she goes back to confront Naraku, wrecks up his place, well, wrecks up his wall, and she gets mad at him. She tries to kill him. But it turns out he actually has this little ball in his hand. What is this ball? Her heart. I mean, you could say she's heartless, but that's kind of the way it is with his incarnations. And she's the first one introduced. Despite the fact there was one that was actually revealed to be the elder sister, despite the fact this little girl's actually looks like she's younger, but she's actually older because she was the first one came. It's explained that basically Naraka gained this humongous amount of power, gained this recent power boost to create these incarnations. Yes, he created, in case you're wondering, how many of these things he created over the course of the series? About 10 of these things. Yep, 10. The third one's actually introduced in episode 43. Yes. And then, like, with the following episode, like, after this two-parter is pretty much wrapped up, we move on to basically another storyline, basically kind of a standalone-ish episode. You might think, is a standalone episode? It kind of is, but it's just a serialization. Yeah, this continues the long serialization point of the series, where it's just so continuous. It acts like a standalone episode, but it's part of the actual story arc. Where this one introduced Kana, Kagura's older sister, who she gets along fine with. And her ability, now Kagura's ability, she doesn't know Kagura the wind. She uses basically a fan to make her moves. Kana uses a mirror. Yep, a mirror. And her ability is to steal souls. The mirror itself is actually damaged in this particular episode thanks to Kagome. Of course, this happens later. Though this episode kind of continues a plot thread from the previous one, basically, where Inuyasha is still wounded from his battle with Koga. He's pretty much wounded up until, like, the episode what happens, something really bad happens to Tenseiga. The Tenseiga. Yep, and the whole point of this one is stealing souls, so Kagura can use her wind dance, because she kind of uses also in the previous one, where she pretty much reanimates the dead like freaking zombies, take on freaking Inuyasha, and Kana at one point tries to steal Kagome's soul, but apparently her soul's way too big, and apparently she just, stops because apparently it's like too much. As for how much, it's probably because of her spiritual power. That's my personal guess. And then, of course, Kagome fires her arrow right at Kana, basically unleashing all the souls. Yep, and of course Naraka shows up in this thing. Doesn't do much of anything. I mean, action-wise, there's nothing, but he does reveal something that sets up the very next episode. Yep, the very next episode. Yeah, it sets up something that it reveals that basically Naraka reveals to Inuyasha that Kikyo gave me these shards. Oh yeah, and the Shukan jewel looks almost completed. How many jewels did she give her? Did he give her? Well, she give him? Like the one portion of it and like a one extra shard. That's all he was given. Yep. So it looks nearly completed. So basically, the next episode, Inuyasha talks. Of course, the next one is basically kind of a follow-up one. It's basically kind of like a follow-up to it, plus it helps set to the very next episode. Yep. So Inuyasha, still wounded, goes to talk to Kikyo about this. And speaking of her basically spirit collectors, she reveals, yeah, she did give it to him. Reason? So she can kill him. Yep. And she still has desire to kill Inuyasha, despite the fact he had nothing to do with killing her 50 years prior. She knows that, but she still wants to kill him for some reason. I don't know why. It's only a very brief scene. Apparently Kagura's there, but basically she's shooed off by Kikyo thanks to her arrows. This leads to the introduction of the third incarnation. His name is Goshenki. Yes, the gigantic ogre of a demon who apparently is a mind reader and basically is very good at talking. Yeah. And she'd be like, you think of me as a mindless brute. Really? Yeah, who's basically a carnivore. Yeah, and this guy eats everything. Not only the people, he eats all the animals, horses. He really wants to eat everything because, according to Raku, slaughter this village, so kill everybody. Okay. Yep. He comes across two little kids who he's going to eat anyways until Inuyasha shows up to take him on. And he fights them despite the fact he's still kind of wounded. He basically, during the course of the fight, he bites Tenseiga and breaks it. Yep, he breaks it. And that sets up the very next episode. Eventually, of course, Inuyasha looks like he's about down for the count, and then all of a sudden, something really weird happens. Goshenki's arm gets chopped off by Inuyasha. Like, what the heck happened? Turned full-blown demon. Yep, and pretty much has this very strong desire to kill him. He does. And he's able to return back to his normal self thanks to Kokome telling him to sit. Which is the third time they said in episodes he's actually done it. She's actually done it to him. Jump back normal, perfectly fine. The very next day, we have Rin and Jaken show up. This, of course, happens the very next episode and introduces the new character, Kanjibo, who's actually the last character to introduce these episodes. The word is more later on for the season. Basically, Jaken and Rin come across the slain demon from the previous episode. Hishima probably heard about this via some rumors, picks up the creature's head, takes it to Kanjimbo, who used to be a student of Tosai. And it's actually revealed, and later on it's revealed why he's no longer a disciple. Because he uses swords to kill children. And basically covered the thing with human blood and put oil on it, his swords. Yeah, very sadistic guy. It's like, okay, I want you to create a sword out of this creature's fangs. It's like, this creature's dead. So, bring out Tenseiga, slice the thing, kind of revive it. Like, okay, now I can use it. And then Jaken goes back to him later. Sword's finished, but it possessed him. So it's sliced at Jaken. Then Shishimaru shows back up. And of course, well, while this is going, of course, they mentioned it basically would take 3 days to forge this thing. Inuyasha takes his sword to Tosai and says, yeah, it'll take me 3 days to fix this thing. Of course, he's upset with the fact that things is wrecked. So he takes one of Inuyasha's fangs. He says, like, ow, well, like, what do you do that for? It's like, don't worry, it's fine. He's probably the same thing to his father. So, yeah, he says, don't worry about it. Your tooth will go back in a day and a half. Okay? And then in this episode, we also get a chance to see that Shogo finds out about Inuyasha's transformation. Apparently, Moroku had never seen it before. First time he's seen it too. But he knows all about it thanks to Shippo telling him. And of course, well, Inuyasha gets upset with him about it. And then, of course, now of course, Rin herself, after the opening scene, is not seen again in the episode. She also just that brief little scene where you see her talking for the first time in the series. Oh yeah, don't worry, she's like this for the rest of the series. She'll talk constantly. And it's only her second episode she's really appeared in. And don't worry, she's going to appear more. Don't worry. Yep, and then pretty much like, then we have Kanjibo confront Inuyasha, where he's still wounded actually he's fully healed. Yeah, thanks to his transformation, it kind of healed up his wounds, but Shogo was still wounded. Yeah, the reason for this is because she was basically deflected with her own weapon. Yes. Also in this episode, her weapon gets cut in half for the first time in the series. But don't worry, she gets a chance to reforge it later. Yeah. Then pretty much like during the course of thing, like the see Moroku apparently he used another weapon besides his wind tunnel, spiritual power. He used spiritual power to sort of slice the guy's head open. Think it might kill him. Nope, doesn't kill him. The guy's still moving. And of course, Inuyasha does get his sword back, but it's really heavy. Why? Not found out till the next episode. It's just basically how Tosai basically forged it. I'm trying to think, was anything else I missed? Anything else? Not really, no. Of course, the episode ends basically with, well, Inuyasha confronting Kojiro with the restored Tenseiga, leading into the very next episode. Pretty good set of episodes. Nothing really bad here. Oh, in the case of what happened with 40... Which one is it? I think it's... It's one of these episodes where... Yeah, it's 41. This is the episode where they introduced Kana. Yeah, there's a girl who's from Moroku's past. It says, oh yeah, could you... Girl say, apparently he has this thing where he frequently asks women to bear his children. He does just anything for Shogo, of course, turns out flat. Of course, he does have his children later. I know I'm kind of spoiling that, but the series has been over for many years, so I can spoil that. As what the names are, they don't say. They're just referred to as their children. Yeah. And pretty much with... Yeah, and also Kagome and Shogo thinks, oh, did he touch her inappropriately? He's like, no, I knew anything to her. She was a child back then. It's like, okay, but you asked her to bear your children. Yep. And because her family was, in order to like make sure there's this very obsessive feudal lord basically really wants her for some reason. It's like, okay, we'll jump out this village and basically, and that's where the whole mess comes in with his sword breaking. Well, not with sword breaking, but basically they stayed in this village for at least for a few days. Yep. Oh yeah, and after that episode 41, the character stops appearing. She just disappears and is never seen again. Yep. But yeah, I think I pretty much covered most everything when it comes to these particular episodes. But it's a good set of episodes nonetheless. Nothing really bad here. It's just that, well, once again we have it where the series censors nudity. But it's reasonable. But if you read the chapters basically this adapted from, oh, I didn't get a chance to take a look and see what chapters this adapted from. I'll probably review it probably when I talk about my next part of this particular, probably in part 6, which I'll probably do tomorrow, along with One Piece, Boruto, and My Hero Academia. Oh yeah, and also Demon Slayer because that also comes out tomorrow. Okay, but until this next view, bye.